Out of all the fragrance brands that I own more Tom Ford fragrances than anything. I have broke it down to my top 5 favorite for fall and winter. Stay tuned.
I finally found what I'm missing, and now you got all my attention. Driving me wild, got me wishing that you were all mine. You're irresistible, it's so refreshing. You're irresistible, tell the essence. I can feel your energy all over me. Close my eyes and I breathe in. You're irresistible.
Welcome back to Carolina Fragrance Reviews. Make sure that you're subscribed, activate that notifications bell, and follow us on Instagram at cam.byrd. Out of all of my Tom Ford fragrances, I have narrowed down the top 5, and boy, I had to switch them numerous times to get down to this. I went ahead and made them all private blend, and we're gonna start it off with one that just recently got its butt handed to it by my good friend Andrea from Curly Scents. Let's take a look at that.
And this one is horrendous. It smells like a cough syrup mixed with saffron rice and cloves. And I hate cloves. I don't know what this is, but this is definitely unworthy of a rating. So, next.
Yeah, that was Tobacco Vanille that just like wasted. But yes, not so much an appropriate date night fragrance. I will admit that I didn't really look at it as like a date night fragrance. I do know some women who do like this fragrance, but it's definitely not one that you want to go wearing right out the gates. But I do adore this fragrance. Tobacco Vanille is categorized as an oriental spicy. It has some spicy tobacco, some vanilla, some cacao, some dried fruits, and woody notes. This definitely has fantastic performance. And it's safe to say it's an acquired taste for some. I think the dry fruits do make it just a little bit strange to some people's noses, but I love tobacco fragrances. I love tobacco and vanilla together. Tobacco Vanille has been a staple in my collection for quite some time. Even though it may not be appropriate for date night, it's definitely a fantastic fragrance. You may get compliments from this, you may not get compliments. But on a nice cold and crisp day, Tobacco Vanille is hard to beat. Like I said, excellent performance, excellent sillage, beautiful fragrance. Next one up is a sexy patchouli fragrance. It is Patchouli ABSOLU. This is another one that has beastly performance and is also somewhat of an acquired taste. If you're a fan of patchouli, you will absolutely, or absolute, adore Patchouli ABSOLU. This unique fragrance has some patchouli, some amber, some leather, some rosemary, and tonka. Beautiful fragrance, beastly projection, excellent sillage, and this one lasts about 9 to 10 hours as far as the performance on my skin. Time to wear Patchouli ABSOLU. Be careful with application on this one. This is definitely one, like I said, it's an acquired taste. Some people like patchouli fragrances. Some people like smelling patchouli fragrances. This is an earthy patchouli, but it's not like a weed head patchouli, if you know what I'm saying. Next one up is another tobacco fragrance, and lo and behold, I swear, when this fragrance was introduced to me last year, it blew my freaking socks off. It is Tobacco Oud Intense. I already knew about Tobacco Oud, but when Tobacco Oud Intense came out, I was like, wow, because it is definitely intense. It is such a good fragrance. Scent bubble of 3 hours, performance of 11 and a half hours. It's deep, it's rich, it's dark, it's sexy, it's seductive. It is perfect for very cold weather. And you can get away with wearing it like in the fall. I don't know what it is. This is so good. Nice, thick, sandalwood, amber, spicy tobacco, patchouli, and tonka. This is Tobacco Oud Intense is just wow. Wow. Both of those fragrances are really good, but the Intense just really kicks it up to my liking. Now, when you talk about tobacco and oud together, some people, you think oud. This is not that skanky animalic oud. It's just really just woody. Along with the tobacco, it's spicy. You definitely get the sandalwood in there. It's just a beautiful fragrance. It's a statement maker. One you'd wear with like a leather jacket. This actually could be worn, dressed up. Just don't overspray this one, because this one is powerful, it's potent, and that's how I love them. Beautiful fragrance, one of the best releases from Tom Ford in my humble opinion. Next one up is definitely a beloved fragrance. It is PLUM Japonais. This fragrance is probably my most worn Tom Ford fragrance. I love it, I love it, I love it. There's something addictive. Now, something that not many people talk about is there are variations in, like, some people say batches, but years. You have, you'll find it with Tobacco Vanille, you'll find it with Tuscan Leather, and I have personally found it with this one, and I've not heard anybody else say anything about it. But it's all about ingredients, when they're available, how the crops are doing. Just the same thing as like when you buy wine, when somebody talks about 1976, whatever. It's the same thing with fragrance. The first bottle I had of this, there was something in it that actually affected my sinuses in a bad way, which sucked because I loved the fragrance. Then I smelled other people's bottles. They didn't bother me whatsoever, so I'm not even sure which batch it was, what year it was. I did get rid of it because it affected me that way. But once I smelled other people's bottles, bought decants, and saw that it didn't affect me that way, it is beautiful. So there are batch variations with Tom Ford as well. It's not just Creed Aventus. PLUM Japonais is a decadent, just beautiful plum note. It's dark, you've got some spicy cinnamon. Light florals, beastly projection. The sillage is absolutely astounding on this one. This is one that you'll also need to be careful on how much you put on you. I have been guilty of overspraying this one. It will give you a headache if you overspray this one. I usually go with about 3 or 4 sprays. And if it's super cold outside, 3 or 4 on the skin, and then maybe 1 on your jacket or your shirt or whatever, it will carry you throughout the day. This one pulls compliments. I know some people do not like this fragrance. That's fine and dandy, but as far as my personal taste, it doesn't get much better than this beauty right here. Now, if I had to pick, like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I could do that with 5 and 4, but these last 3 are probably equally as wonderful to me for different reasons. Just how they make me feel, and Amber Absolute just makes me feel a certain way. I have actually wore this fragrance numerous times to sleep because there's just something that's very relaxing about it, but at the same time, there's something very sensual and seductive, and wow, definitely a date night fragrance. This is not one that you want to overspray either, but trust me on this, this is a great date night fragrance. I get about 2.5 hours of projection, about 9 to 10 hours of performance. Like I said, it's relaxing, it pulls compliments, it's sexy, it's seductive, it's everything I love about a fragrance. And this is definitely a masterpiece. Tom Ford has put out some excellent fragrances in the private blend. Now, in the past year or so, in my personal opinion, I haven't come across anything that was just like, oh wow, like these right here. Now it's time, Tom Ford's due for a nice, I know that there's some of the fragrances that have been dropped in the past year or two that you guys just went bonkers about. But the last thing that they did is like just blew my socks off was when they come back out with the ombre leather. Really, really smart move. The Tuscan leather, intense, that was great. And then of course, bringing back Amber Absolute. They actually did away with this. Not good. So glad they come back with this one. This one's got some woody notes. Obviously it has some amber, some incense, and some vanilla. Beautiful, beautiful fragrance. And definitely if I had to say, you know, like my favorite one, it would be these three right here. I cannot narrow it down to one, but 5 fragrances from Tom Ford Private Blend that will get you through fall and winter with, there's something there for everything. Date night, signature scent worthy, so on and so forth. Got you covered. That's gonna wrap it up for my top 5 Tom Ford fragrances for fall and winter. Make sure that you be disruptive, wear what you want, when you want. Subscribe to Carolina Fragrance Reviews, activate that notification bell, smash that like button, leave us some comments down below. We'll see you next time on Carolina Fragrance Reviews.